After 2 straight wins, both the Seagulls and the Tigers come here to Brookvale Oval tonight in good form at an important stage of the season as we welcome you to round 14 of this year's Telstra Premiership. Here is the way that the home side will take the field. At fullback, Brett Stewart, 24 tries in his last 24 games here at Brookvale Oval. What a strike rate that is. 2 very quick men on the wings in Michael Robertson and Chris Hicks. The centres, Paul Stevenson, will partner one of the most improved players in the NRL, young Kiwi Steve Matai. At 5'8", Travis Burns continues to impress his first year in the top grade. Matt Orford, all class at the scrum base, looking very comfortable in the maroon and white colours. This is the way the forward pack shapes up. Ben Kennedy will captain the side at lock forward. Glenn Stewart and Anthony Watmo, a New South Wales representative at this time last year, did play in game 1 for the Blues. The front row a change. We see Mark Bryant, Michael Monaghan and Kylie Luluwai comes into the run-on side. That sees George Rose go back to the interchange alongside Shane Dunley, Luke Williamson and Phil Morwood. They are coached by Des Hasler, who in fact was a teammate of his opposing coach Tim Sheens back in 1982 at Penrith. These sides met back in round 9, a victory to the West Tiger side over Manly 24-18. That was at Leichhardt. Yeah, let's have a look at it. The Seagulls ground tonight is going to make it a little bit harder for the Tigers. At full, we get the speed machine and Shannon McDonald. On the wings, you get a real powerhouse in New Zealand. Tanyella, Tuaki, watch him go. And on the other wing, you got a Whippet and Michael Crockett. That's a nice balance. In the centre's got the very impressive young player, Dean Collis, and another speedster in Shane Elford. Now the halves, here we go. Showtime, baby. We've got Benji Marshall and the skipper, Scotty Prince. Watch them go. Now the back row's a good one. You got the centre come like Jamal Alisi, Anthony LaFranchi, who's been on fire of late, and the big skillful Toddy Payton. Up front, you got Ryan O'Hara, who's starting to hit his straps now with the Tigers. With Robbie Farah, he'll be dangerous all night, and big Johnny Scandalis, well, Scando just keeps on keeping on. Let's have a look at the bench. Very, very strong. Stuart Flanagan, Chris Hyington, alongside Bryce Gibbs and Benny Galea. That's a good bench, the coach Tim Sheens. Referee Shane Hayne tonight, Ray. 106 first-grade games. Only gave away 2 penalties last week in the Brisbane Warriors match.
Kick-off time and Burns starts Friday night football. Here come the Tigers, bringing it back 18 from their own line through Ryan O'Hara. And Matty Johns made the point, and it was so true. He's starting to slot into this West Tigers unit now. O'Hara, formerly with Canberra. That was Payton. And Farah taking an early run away from dummy half. You're going to see a lot of, I would imagine, safe football, although that really might not be a good thing for the West Tigers particularly, because they don't need to be harnessed. They are really free spirits, aren't they? People like Benji Marshall. Like putting a tightrope on Steve Mortimer in his heyday. You couldn't restrict him. The kick is not good. But then again, Watmo gets a penalty because the number 7 for the West Tigers was in front of the kicker, and therefore he has to remain 10 metres away from the man playing at the football. So it didn't take Shane Hayne long to blow up a penalty after, what was it, 2 last weekend in 80 minutes.
2 last week, and it didn't take long to find out how difficult these conditions are. He never got the boot on that ball at all, did Robbie Farah. Very dusty kick, a little bit of a positional change out there, although we'll see them change. Stevenson starting on the wing for Manly. Chris Hicks pushed into the centres.
Matai on the second of this set. And the 17 is Luluwai. We'll go to Andrew on the sideline in just a moment on the back end of this set. Here's Burns, right foot step, and almost away. It's an area of the West Tigers that I'm sure Sheens is worried about. I'll come back to Orford back for Kennedy. Kennedy across for Burns, and Burns is about 12 metres away from the goalposts. Running towards the southern end of Brookvale. Orford, there's the little kick. Oh! Chris Hicks went up. He had hands on the ball. It's gone forward, and it comes down with the West Tigers. And Andrew Voss sideline.
And Ray will be lucky if we get through to the night without any more showers. They are predicted for later on this evening. Some good defence here from Manly. Look, real pressure on the Tigers back 3 tonight. You've just seen them trying to defuse the first kick of the night. This has got to be one of the most inexperienced fullback wing combinations I think we've ever seen in first grade. A grand total between the back 3 of just 12 first grade matches.
So Andrew Voss on the sideline, Peter Sterling and Phil Gould in the commentary box for a most important game. I know they all are, but the Premiers, they want to get in that top 8. Somebody's going to have to make way for them as Prince puts a kick in that goes dead in goal. Back to the 20 now.
And Ray, if you can win 3 games in a row during this representative period, that is absolutely invaluable.
Involvement when Manly have got the ball, it's quite incredible. I know the fans don't like it, but he's been one of the best players out there tonight. He is out there for entire sets of 6, rallying the troops, rallying the Manly players.
This is Galea now.
Anthony!
1.5 minutes ago. Manly with a chance. Quick turnover of possession. Matai, 10 out. About 20 in from touch. Orford. Just a handover from Orford to Glenn Stewart. And he's not going anywhere. They set up their minds and set up their attack. As Monaghan drifts across and they've lost it again. 16 this time, Morwood putting it to ground. West Tigers bring it out to the 20-metre line.
Well, despite that mistake, and it is another opportunity missed, they've been able to maintain no pressure at that end of the field. Manly are getting on top in this game. Tigers finding it much more difficult to make ground with the football. The dummy half work for Manly has been excellent. Tigers struggling now to come out of their own end.
Here it is. Movement now. Oh.
Crockett playing it inside his own 40-metre line. And then they go across the back of the ruck, and it's gone from Galea across to the right where it finds Collis just a couple of metres on his side of halfway. Kennedy and Matai combining to make that tackle. This is Lolisi. Now Prince, and Packer comes for Hyington, who always adds something to the Tigers when he comes on. He's a real toiler. Ben Galea is the same. Here's Marshall with the little hop and then the dummy to Wilford and then to Tuaki. And Tuaki surrounded by Manly troops. And he's tackled 30 metres away from the Manly line from Galea. It's gone through to Marshall. Over it goes to Farah out at second receiver, then to Prince. And Prince puts a kick in. It's pretty urgent work back here for Manly, but Robertson has got it cleaned up. Robertson tackled about 3 or 4 metres out from his own line. Now Brett Stewart.
We've got a problem for a West Tigers player on the far side. Jamal Lolisi struggling to get up. Looked like he might have picked up a leg injury. But he's gone back down again, so 12 men in the defensive line for the visitors.
Morwood playing the ball. They're still only 10. Now they're 15 away from their own line through Kennedy, who actually gets it out to that 20-metre line. Played down the centre of the ground. And this is George Rose, formerly with the Sydney Roosters. Orford a dummy half. Monaghan this time at first receiver, putting the kick in. This one bouncing between the winger and the fullback. And here's Crockett bringing it back. There is an example of this ground losing their footing. This is what happened to Lolisi. And he goes in to make that tackle, and he goes in so awkwardly. So Jamal Lolisi with an injury.
Well, again, the conditions playing its part there. It's difficult to change direction and keep your footing. And Jamal Lolisi, he's struggling out on the far side for the Tigers, who are now getting a bit of momentum out of dummy half. They're good meters. Up the centre, 41 out.
That's McDonald, the fullback, on the back of Tuaki's previous good run. Now Robbie Farah gets it down to the 30-metre line before an offload finds Prince. Prince has got players left and right. Danger. Marshall gets it away. Galea is there. He gives the ball to the number 9 for Manly. Monaghan spreads it away out to Matai, and Matai will be put to ground just outside his own 20-metre line. So what looked promising finished up falling apart badly, sadly, for the West Tigers.
There's no doubt the message has gone out for the Tigers that the dummy half is the place to attack from. Every time they've gone from there, they've made good meters up the middle.
This is Rose, who's advertised in the run-on side, coming off the bench as Kennedy goes ahead. His eyes firmly glued on the ball. And then he was through a tackle of Todd Payton.
Matt Orford trying to find some space on the far side for Maddai. He's looked dangerous, Maddai, but a good tackle by Collis. Last tackle, Orford deciding not to kick, goes to Burns instead.
The Burns kick very, very high, and it had McDonald all over the place getting underneath it, and eventually he did very well. And now he's made a really good run. It's taken him out to the 30-metre line before Kennedy puts him away. That was a terrible ball to be underneath, and he did all that and then made a nice run out to the 30-metre line.
Oh, Marcus square!
26 minutes of the game gone. Still no score in our Friday night football match on the wide world of sports. And similar, of course, to last Friday night. Well, not similar, but identical. As it's played back now for Prince, and they try and do something down the short side with Payton. Tackled on the 30-metre line, 5 gone. Back to Marshall. Then away for Prince to put it across the ground and high. Pressure on Robertson. Oh, the Tigers have come down with it. And it's play on. Lalisi got the ball away. Farah put a kick in. And Burns will take it dead, I fancy. So we'll take a break with the line drop out to restart us. No score after 27 minutes of Friday night football. Channel 9 on a Friday night with another 0-all scoreline. And the match deepening all the time at the 28th minute now.
It's 0-all, Ray, but it's another gripping contest. Bit of fatigue out there for both sides. Slow restart here. The high kick was successful for the Tigers. And this is going to be a knock-on from Jamal Lalisi. And what a let-off that is, Ben Kennedy. Can't believe the luck of his side there. A wry smile. You don't see too many from BK during the course of a game.
Talking about this game having similarities to last week. Look at the slip here from Matty Orford. I pointed out the muddy and slippery nature of this field, which was very different to the firm surface we had over there at Opening Jubilee last week. Last week it was 250 to 1 for a field goal to be the opening score of the game. Understand betting agencies slashed that today. It was something like 33 to 1. The bookies don't give much away, Rabbits, do they?
They never have, Gus.
Well, you're taking unders, 33s.
They'll bet you unders, but they won't bet you overs. I'm surprised you offered that. Now Glenn Stewart. 25 metres away from his own line at the sound of the whistle. And it's against Bryce Gibbs, the 16 for a high shot. There it is on replay.
Beaver Menzies, Beaver 300 games last week. Congratulations.
Thanks, mate. It was a big day there out at Penrith, and good to get a win.
What do you make of this one?
Yeah, it's going to be close. Obviously, the conditions, don't any good for expensive football, so we've just got to play down their end and hopefully, get a couple of backup sets of 6 and build a bit of pressure.
What about State of Origin preparations? How are they?
Yeah, it's going good. It's pretty relaxed. That's the way Muzzle likes it, but it worked well for us in the first camp, so it's going nicely.
Thanks for your time, Beef. Congratulations again, mate.
Thanks, mate. Cheers, mate.
So Dunley is out there for Manly as the ball goes with Manly down to the 20-metre line on the Tigers' end of the park. An appeal there from a couple of the Manly players as Burns eventually rose and played the ball. Kennedy then takes it towards the centre of the ground. 12 metres out from the West Tigers line, played by the Manly skipper. Back it comes to Orford, shows it, then holds it back, then goes to Brett Stewart. Now it's away to Chris Hicks. There's a gap, he's over the line, and Chris Hicks has scored. Chris Hicks has scored for Manly. No dispute about it. Shane Hayne was perfectly positioned. Half an hour gone and 4-0 the score in favour of Manly.
And it's been a while coming, but again the change in direction of the attack was instrumental in the try. And the fact that the West Tigers didn't come out with any great urgency off their line. Manly come across, throw the pass, as he frees it there. You'll see this player just gets a little bit lost as the try scorer comes back on the inside as play continues. Only 5 metres out from his own line. Straight through the hole, left by Ben Galea. Difficult to change direction here. The way the try scorer didn't have too many problems. The Manly score of a very simple play at the right end of the field.
It's not only the attackers that have trouble with a slippery surface. The defence sometimes can have a lot of trouble with it.
Matt Orford had a bit of a cork in the leg last week. That's why he didn't kick. Travis Norton kicked 4 from 5 and was successful with the first one tonight.
Peter, just have a look at all the slipping that's going on in this game. I pointed to it before kickoff about the muddy nature of this field. Very, very different. Player Ben Kennedy slipping over. Another player here slipping over. As soon as they try to change direction, players slipping over there. Jamal Alessi has hurt himself in defence trying to get up there. Fullbacks running the ball up, with wingers running the ball up, trying to change direction. You just can't do it on this surface. Players will learn that they've got to run hard and straight and change direction with the ball and the angle of the run rather than try to sidestep your way through.
Travis Burns then converting the Chris Hicks try, which just for a moment I thought Brett Stewart was going to make it 25 tries from 25 appearances here at Brookvale. But it was him that gave the final pass. And Manly now starting with a new set on the 20-metre line. Tackle 1 for George Rose. And this is Morwood, who's held in an upright tackle just inside the 20 to ground now, almost on the 30-metre line. In fact, Dunley away for Kennedy, and Kennedy almost lost the ball there. Never actually lost contact with it, otherwise there could have been reason to think there was a knock-on as the ball touched an opposing player. They're on their 40-metre line now as Watmo goes away from dummy half. Both sides playing it close to the chest, to use an adage. But at the same time, I think West Tigers probably are dying to just throw that ball around just a tad more than Manly. Manly, though, on the scoreboard, 6-0, proving that their way is the better way. Now, McDonald comes back, and there again is the ground, the greasiness making the tackle really. Burns, the number 6, will be credited with the tackle. This is Stewart.
Surrender!
15 out from the Tigers line. Referee apologising for his voice being no good at the moment. So it's Payton coming away just outside the 30-metre line. Converted try coming at the half-hour mark to the home side. In fact, these two sides, since 2003, the home side has won every encounter played since 2003. So Marshall kicking over towards the left side of Manly's attack, and Brett Stewart has got his winger Robertson with him. He comes out towards Marshall and takes the tackle on the 30-metre line.
And they're winning the battle, Manly. Again, you'd see West Tigers kicking deep from their own territory. But those kind of mistakes certainly helping their cause. Here's a chance out wide. He's quick.
Crockett is very, very fast. He's inside the 20, steps off his right foot, and he's put to ground. About 7 metres out from that corner post. Down there on the northern end, the Manly try line. Scott Prince lets one player go before getting the pass away. 10 metres out from the Manly line. Played there by Galea. Farrow goes across, picks up Lafranchi. He'll score Lafranchi. Can he get it down? Referee Shane Hain is giving a try. Try for Anthony Lafranchi right under the black dot.
Absolutely superb effort. A real double surge here. And then the skill with the greasy ball to plant it on the surface, despite the attention of the defence. He's a good player, Anthony Lafranchi. Here's the lost possession. I want to know if he can pick it up here where McDonald goes down the right and Ben Kennedy comes racing across the old bloke in a cover defending role. Look at old Ben Kennedy charging back there. I'm back here to help, boys. Bang, gotcha. And for the next play, Lafranchi was over under the post there, Sturlo.
Yeah, Robbie Farah, the inside pass, and Lafranchi just strength to get through the front line of defence. Carries Stewart over, who's unable to stop the big number 11, planting the football down. Got a try last week, has doubled it up this week. He's a very good player, our man of the match last week, in fact.
So Benji Marshall will level up the situation here. Marshall taking over the kicking from Brett Hodgson, of course, on origin duty. So there it is, we're locked up again. It is 6-all in Friday night football. Try scorer Anthony Lafranchi. Brute strength got him across the line. It was a piggybacking try. Friday night football from Brookvale Oval. The crowd again has been affected by the inclement weather, but I don't think anybody's necessarily worried about the rain we're having. It's certainly been needed, and Sydney, for one, is rejoicing with all of this moisture around.
A fair bit of Tiger support here too, Ray. You normally look around, it's a sea of maroon and white, but plenty of supporters of the reigning premiers have journeyed across the North Shore. Pretty happy with the fact that their side have got back in it. They did make the statement that Manly were getting on top. That did come against the run of play, and now another penalty going against the home team.
You can bet your life about one thing with this game. It's going to go right down to the wire. These two teams are playing pretty good wet weather football. Stripped there by Glenn Stewart, pulling the ball away. I think this is going to go right down to the wire. I see more tries in this game. It's not like last week's game where we didn't get one till nearly after the final siren. We'll get more tries, and this will go down to the wire.
Talking of tries, here is one of the try scorers. LaFranchi for West Tigers, playing at 30 metres out from the Manly line as Prince goes back and the ball goes to ground off the hands of the 16 for the Tigers, Bryce Gibbs. They're still allowed to play on. The ball went backwards according to the referee. 23 metres out from the Manly line. About 12 metres in from that eastern touchline. Played over there by Collis. Here is Hyington with the ball. Now they're inside the 20. So can they grab the lead on half-time as Farah goes back to Prince? Another second-man play, and Marshall is taken by Travis Burns. 8 metres away from the Manly line. Play back to LaFranchi. He's going to take him on again. Pull down and lead her up this time. Fifth tackle gone. Tuwaki to the right for Prince, and Prince puts a kick in that'll go too deep. It'll be a line dropout with 2.5 minutes of this first half remaining at 6-all.
Well, both teams have really struggled to maintain pressure once they've got in the opposition 20. A couple of kicks from Scott Prince have just gone over the dead ball line. That one the fairway over, and Manly at the other end have just come up with simple mistakes, carrying the football, losing it, pass going astray.
So just outside the 30-metre line, we find Lulawai able to advance the football some 10, 12 metres maybe. Dunley with a little scurry away from dummy half. Then back for Glenn Stewart, and Stewart goes to ground just on the West Tigers side of halfway. 6 points all to score. Half-time 1 3/4 minutes away. Kennedy to the centre of the ground on the 40-metre line. Coming up at half-time, in hold at half-time. Part of it, in fact, will be Tommy Ladonicus reliving his infamous cattle dog war cry. It's coming up at half-time, and we break in just about 2 minutes from now.
Well, I know they're the joint venture club now, Ray, but this ground here, the scene of some of the most brutal games we've seen in recent times. Western Suburbs, of course, the Fibros up against Manly, the Silvertails. Some battles here. And Tommy was a part of that, of course.
This is Hyington. Yes, of course, you're going back to the days of Roy Masters, who invented the Fibros versus the Silvertails, and of course Manly taking all those magpies off them with the checkbook. Boyd, Dorahy, Brown, to mention but 3. And of course the rivalry was bitter. Not quite the same these days, as Marshall gives it across to Scott Prince over on his right, and he puts in a big kick that sits and plugs, and it's with Brett Stewart who brings it out and chances his arm as he passes across to Michael Robertson, who runs into Gibbs in 16, and Prince putting the ball onside as he goes down the ground 11 metres away from the Manly line. This is Stevenson. Half-time almost with us, with both sides across the line on one occasion, and both tries converted. We were at 0-all for 30 minutes, and we are going to go to the break after 40 minutes at 6-all. As Matai tries to find some acceleration, but he's tackled 32 metres out from his line. So that's the final play of the first half. And absorbing is one word you could use, and very, very much, as I said, like last Friday night. Six points all. We had half an hour of football again on a Friday night with no score before Chris Hicks was over for Manly, and then about 4 minutes from half-time, Anthony LaFranchi with an absolute bulldog run has levelled up the situation. Both tries were converted. So welcome now to the second half, and that's come off the knees. I know it went backwards anyway, but this is Glenn Stewart. And it didn't help matters because it delayed them taking the ball away from their own line. So the first tackle was made 2 metres out, and the second tackle has been made 8 metres out. And under normal circumstances, a hard-running forward probably would have been up near the 20-metre line. This is Lulawai. 3 tackles gone. They still haven't crossed the 20. Williamson is on for Manly.
Here's 10. Here's 10.
24 metres away from the Manly line. You can hear Shane Hayne calling, here's the 10, come back with me. As Dunley gets it out to 32 metres from his line. They've got a kick, and Orford drives it down. Doesn't have a great deal of length about it, and it sits down again, as most of these kicks are doing. And McDonald, young Shannon, is tackled just outside his own 30-metre line. Marshall dummy half, Tuaki, and getting it out towards the 40-metre line before Chris Hicks and Glenn Stewart combined to stop the big Tongan. Now Bryce Gibbs. He's 4 metres on his own side of halfway. They keep going down that short side. They persevere there for the time being anyway. 4 or 5 metres into Manly's territory. Ball played over there by Shane Elford, who was going to the Rabbits, and then the whole thing got reversed. Here's Hyington in the 15 jumper, 40-metre line, just in front of him. 5 tackles gone, just over 30 metres gained. Scott Prince goes to the air off the right boot, and it comes down to Brett Stewart, who was not contested really. Marshall was looking for a spill. Farah making the tackle. This is Stevenson with the ball now. Centre of the ground, still inside their own 20-metre line. The Manly Sea Eagles, Matai. Gee, he fell awkwardly. Matai, and players indicating to the bench that he's in a spot of bother.
Yeah, Todd Payton coming over the top didn't help. Out of dummy half as he's done all night. Robbie Farah low, and then Todd Payton, the contact up top, did the damage down below. Tackle 3.
I've got my doubts about Steve Matai, whether or not he's going to be able to continue. He's played the ball gamely, and he's getting himself over to the sideline, where right now he'd be a perfect target to attack. And here's a penalty going to Manly. It's against Elford.
It's hard enough if you've got a knee or ankle injury at the best of times, but when you're playing on a surface like this where there's a lot of give in the ground and you can slip and slide, it makes it all the more difficult. He wouldn't be feeling comfortable at all. In fact, he's coming off. They're taking him to the sideline. You just can't feel confident with your footing out there.
Ask Justin Hodges about that being a fact. Suncorp originally opened the sand pit. That's where he experienced so much of a problem. Williamson with the ball now, and they're 35 metres out from the line. Orford across, and Kennedy did well, but now he's lost the ball as he's tackled. Dunley picked it up, but it was play on according to the referee, and players just inside the Tigers' 30-metre line. 6 points all. Kennedy again on a surge and a carry that ends about 18 metres away from the West Tigers line. Dunley is with it now. Back to Orford. Orford gets it back to Brett Stewart, and he comes to Scott Prince and takes the tackle 10 metres out from the line. On tackle 5. They've come 45 metres. Matai still out there as the kick goes in and across, and the Tigers are with it in the field of play.
Pass the ball.
Michael Crockett coming up with the football. So he's ordered the restart through the play the ball. The breach coming on the final tackle. This is Collis inside his own 20-metre line. Gibbs getting it outside the 20, but the Manly defence right up on top of him, led by Lulawai that time, and Dunley. Farah dummies once before trying to make some metres. He's got it away to Galea, who has to contend with Kennedy. Now the ball to Hyington, and Hyington again met by Kennedy. Kennedy right up in their face. And even though Hyndon was running at speed, Kennedy met him with just as much speed going the other way.
Well, what a great penalty that one is for the Tigers, getting late in the tackle count. But before it hits the ground, I think he gets his arms back on it and has some control on the football as he gets it down on the line. I think that supports a green light.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt there's a green light here. I'm a little bit worried about Sam Mattai's lead knee there, coming in over the top. Gee whiz. He was very, very lucky there not to connect.
So the green light confirms what both Peter and Phil have been saying. 10-6 then, the Tigers.
Yes.
After 6 minutes of the second half.
Can't get much closer, I think.
Just the feeling I get from the Tigers, they're a little bit more adventurous. They've got that bit of footwork in them that can just wrong split the opposition defence. This was a great covering tackle here by the fullback, and Kennedy getting back again. Then from the next play, a couple of nice long passes and beautiful work by Collis. In and away, draws the winger and just gives his winger enough time to get across in the corner. Crockett, good wingers try that one.
This is the man that's come ahead, Peter.
Well, all the young players are going well, aren't they? But, you know, Dean Collis has had a rap on him for a while now, most importantly from his coach, Tim Sheens. Benji Marshall attempting the conversion attempt. We saw him hit one a couple of weeks back from the sideline, which was successful. And that try against the run of play late in the first half has really given some impetus to the Tigers now. The last 10 minutes has been very good. 5 minutes either side of halfway wipeout.
Well, that's Benji Marshall for you. He can do anything. 12-6 after 47 minutes of time.
I just want to show you something for the kids at home on what they mean by leadership by example. Watch Ben Kennedy here. He'll take an angle run back on the inside. He has a loose carry, and he'll actually come up with a little bit of a drop ball. Now, he gets embarrassed by that. What's he do on the very next play of the ball? He grabs it, tucks it under his arm, surges through and gets it back. That's what they mean by leadership by example. He doesn't apologise. He just does something good straight away.
Yeah, Shannon McDonald made a break moments ago before that try. Guess who cleaned him up from behind at speed? And you pointed out, Ray, that it was Kennedy attacked him from behind.
12-6 the score in favour of the Tigers, the West Tigers, as Ben Galea plays the ball. Matai has done very well to stay there. For a moment, I thought he was off for sure. I think he reached the sideline at one stage, but he obviously didn't come off the ground, and he stayed with the assignment. And as every second passes, he's looking more and more freer in his action. Here's Payton on his own 40-metre line. A 6-point margin mightn't sound like a lot, but in these conditions, it's a handy lead. You'd rather have it than not have it, really, in these conditions. As Prince drives this ball down the ground, it'll make them think about it. And it was another lovely weighted kick from Scott Prince. Stevenson has got this ball back into the field of play, but that doesn't detract from what Scott Prince has been doing, and he's been doing it often in this match tonight.
Well, the one thing about Manly, Ray, is that they've been good chasers this year. They've played 12 matches. On 3 occasions, they've trailed by 10 points or more and come back to win the game. So they show plenty of steel when they need to, as Kennedy again. What a night he's having.
Not since 2003 has the West Tigers won here at Brookvale. At the moment, things are going okay. They're leading by 6. Oh, gee, that tackle, it probably looked as though it was more malicious than it was. Certainly, I'm sure that wasn't meant by Ben Galea at all, but everybody's okay. And play on as the ball is kicked down the ground to McDonald, and he's tackled almost on the halfway line. That was the tackle from Matai just before we went to the break on Dean Collis.
And it was the same play unfolding that we saw McDonald make a break from earlier. Matai read it well. He knew he'd seen it before. He came in to snuff it. As Todd Payton now inside the 30 on a roll here, the Tigers. A couple of sets of 6 at this end of the field.
Farah, he's done some nice things tonight. Gibbs is with it now. 15 metres away from the Manly line, play in the middle of the ground. So Farah, Prince goes to the right, they go up the middle, Marshall back to Galea. And Galea is eventually put down by Williamson. But the Tigers still pressing. Manly under siege at the moment. And that's LaFranchi, a couple of metres out from the line. Farah waiting for the play, the ball, he'll have a go, he has a dip. And he's short of the line. And 5 tackles gone. So LaFranchi asking the question, who wants it? He decides to go himself, and LaFranchi might have got his second try of the night. Shane Hayne has gone immediately upstairs.
Let's have a real good look now. Dives in low. Well, I don't know how you tell under all that. The video referee's got to come up with no decision out of that. And I don't know you're going to get a better angle. It looks as though Brett Stewart's got underneath him.
He was trying to sell Anthony LaFranchi at dummy half that he was going to Scott Prince in behind the ruck area. His body position and angle indicating to the defence, I'm throwing this, I'm throwing it. And then all of a sudden, he's got down low. This will be the best angle we will see. And that supports Manly.
Ref's call and Shane Hayne is really held up. Last tackle changeover. So Gus has read it correctly, although he got the camera count wrong. We've got 12 cameras, not 112.
Gee, we've got a lot of trucks in out the back. Sorry, one of them's your dressing room, isn't it? Oh, apologies.
Bryant. Now Hicks, who got the first try of the night, if you happen to take the first try scorer. 12 metres away, in fact more than that, 22 metres away. Williamson down the middle of the ground to the 30-metre line. Interchanges rolling through. Kennedy to the line, held by Collis, got it away. Monahan, Orford is taken down on his own 40-metre line. 4th tackle gone, 52 minutes of the game gone, 12-6 the score. Manly not gone yet. The West Tigers leading at the moment. Tuaki in possession, just 30 metres out from his own line. Play back for Benji Marshall, and Marshall decides to take it himself, which probably indicates to me that he's just feeling a bit more confident with every game that he gets through. Shoulders are hanging together. Tuaki.
Probably something that we haven't focused on, Ray, hasn't it? The fact that Marshall got back so quickly after that shoulder problem and hasn't appeared to have had a problem since. It's got under the radar a little bit. He's just gone about his business and gone about it beautifully.
So here's Bryce Gibbs with a burst up the middle, and the legs are chopped out from under him by Monahan, with Williamson up the top. Now for Prince. And they're starting to dominate this game, some of these very creative players, and that ball is marked back there by Brett Stewart. It's going to be a line dropout. Hyington wants to go on with it.
Well, he shouldn't.
Yeah. That is an inch-perfect kick. The kicking games of both halfbacks tonight have been sensational, but that is inch-perfect. Look at that. It comes down an inch from the try line, so the fullback has to play for it, and he gets no reward with a 20-metre tap for catching it in goal. He kicked that from 30 metres out and brings it down inch perfect. Here's a little dust up in behind, bit of a push, another push. It's all over.
Gee, that's a very good dropout from Travis Burns. All of 50 metres in conditions like this.
Let him go, Chris.
This is Todd Payton. He's got it back to almost the 30-metre line. Manly's end of the ground. Here's another one of the big boppers from the Tigers. Bryce Gibbs, 24 metres away from the line. Manly really doing it tough at the moment as Prince gets a pass away for Lolisi, and Lolisi is taken to ground by the defence of 2 players. Anthony Watmoe was one and George Rose the other. Here's Farah chipping over the top, and then it was well read on the far side of the ground by the Manly winger over there. So this to an 8-point lead. Strikes it. Coming around, hitting the upright, bouncing back into the field of play for Manly.
That's one, let him go.
18 metres out from their own line. On goes Jeff Tuvey. .25 away from their line. Rose playing the ball. This is Bryant. Up the middle to the 30-metre line. Payton and Farah making the tackle. Kennedy, now they're driving the wedge up the middle. Simple stuff. Almost to halfway. This has been good stuff by Manly. One of the Tigers has got claret coming out of a a forehead wound. It's Payton. Ball goes across to Travis Burns. He's unloading it to Orford, who's got to get a kick away. He snaps it down into the 20-metre zone. And, McDonald loses his footing. He was able to recover and eventually upended by Manly.
Ray, as you mentioned, Jeff Tuvey going on, I watched him. He went out for the full 6 tackles, did not go near a player with the water bottle, but had plenty to say. Didn't go within 5 metres of a player. I thought you could only go out there and attend to give them a drink, or if there was an injury.
So here's Marshall out wide now. This is Shane Elford, who thought about passing back to Benji Marshall, but players just outside the 20-metre line with the Tigers under LaFranchi, taking them out to the 30 now.
Head wound for Todd Payton. Plenty of claret flowing. He's stitching that one.
Gibbs with a trademark run. Big and fast. Now for Prince, who drives it down towards the fullback, straight to Brett Stewart. He's got Stevenson with him. Stevenson gets the job. 20 metres out from his own line, and the Tigers are down there with the enthusiasm and the confidence that you'd expect from a team that's got this 6-point lead now. 30 metres away from their line, the Manly Sea Eagles with Anthony Watmo out to the 40-metre line. 8 changes made by Des Hasler, 7 made by Tim Shields. 10 metres from halfway. Now they're 2 metres. Now they're on the halfway line. Matai rounded up by Ryan O'Hara and Jamal Lolisi. Orford, a dummy, and then he decides to take them on, Matt Orford. He hasn't done that very much tonight. It is with Monahan, who puts a kick delicately over towards the right winger for West Tigers. It'll go into touch.
We're just talking about Jeff Tuvey. He was actually chipped at half-time by the NRL officials for being out there too long on the field. Here he is, sitting in behind the ruck, and he's virtually calling play, talking players into position, telling them where to go, what to do, control the ball, move left or right or whatever. Now, look, I know he's a well-respected player. He was a great player in his own day. He's obviously out there with the blessing of his coach, who was a former Manly halfback himself. But if I was the current-day halfback here, Matt Orford, who's a pretty fine player too, I'd be saying to Jeff Tuvey, butt out, mate, I'm running this show. I can't believe how often he is out there directing play. Matt Orford's in charge of this team. 10
metres away from the Tigers line there. Scott Prince with an offload for Crockett. Crockett met and put away by Burns and Stewart. 12-6 in favour of the Tigers with Farah. He's been quite destructive tonight. He's kept them guessing. He hasn't played within himself. He's preferred to go the other way, to be just Robbie Farah. No inhibitions whatsoever. 30 metres out from their own line, the Tigers with Farah, an offload for O'Hara, and they all run with great gusto, don't they, the big men, and they're all quite fast. Here's another one of them, Gibbs, up towards halfway.
Here we are.
Nancy Johns was talking about them putting titles together back to back. You'd be a brave man to say they can't. Lolisi's kick sits up friendly for the number 2 from Manly, Michael Robertson. He will play it just beyond his own 20-metre line. An appeal from Manly for a penalty from Shane Hayne. The ball has gone over to big Bryant, and Bryant is tackled in the centre of the ground, just inside the 30-metre line, as Orford again decides to go himself, and I think that's what he's going to have to try and do. He's decided to put his foot on the pedal a couple of times. Oh, here's a loose ball, and Kennedy is there to dive on it and clean it up.
Oh, isn't that enthusiasm from a senior player? Tremendous stuff.
Now Watmo with some inspiration from Kennedy's performance. He's done everything else here tonight, Kennedy. He might as well do that as well. And now Orford it is who drills it down along the ground, 5 metres out from the try line. McDonald, again, he loses his footing, and he's an easy target for the oncoming Manly defence.
They're just starting to make their surge, Manly. You can really see them lift the tempo of the game. Their last 2 kicks have been good. Their defence is strengthened up a little bit. I can feel a surge coming on. They see this as their chance to get back in it.
Now O'Hara, and he's taken low by Monahan, and then he drives. Good tackle, Michael Monahan.
And this is Tuaki getting through. Put a beautiful little move on the first defender. At the end of that, they looked like they'd set up a try-scoring opportunity, but maybe Dean Collis just passed a little bit early to his winger as Manly through Matai. Again working it out from inside their own 20.
So down the centre of the ground. Matai from Monahan to Watmough. Watmough to George Rose, and Rose with a good run, and then an offload for Watmough, and he gets rid of another one. Chuaki that time. Eventually he's pulled down by Galea, 40 away from his own line. This is Glenn Stewart. And Matthew John sideline.
You know, the Tigers aren't going to throw this away, Rabs. You look at the Manly side, they've got to get more proactive with Matty Orford, take him on more, use some more bodies of motion. But apart from that, he's got to put some high kicks up. Just stop surrendering the ball back to the Tigers. They will not throw it away.
So this is the Manly side on their last play. Kicking off halfway is Monahan. Ball down to the try line. And McDonald again on the way back. This time he's able to make a little bit of evasive work inside the 10, but eventually wrapped up by Mark Bryant. Marshall gets it away. Oh, Chuaki. Shane Haynes said shoulders only. Travis Burns it was, gee.
Oh, dear.
Ben Galea now.
I've seen some innocuous penalties for high tackles all season, and that gets nothing.
Everyone used to swing on a Hills hoist when you were a kid.
There, kid. Wooshka. I've seen the most innocuous tackles given penalties, and that gets a nothing.
Hyington, just outside the 30, as Robbie Farah puts a kick down. Ben Kennedy's back there to clean it up again. Bounces to his feet, starts the progress. And it's a good run and a good effort by Kennedy again.
Check his birth certificate. How old is this bloke?
Brett Stewart getting off to the right of the ground, tackled on the 40-metre line.
At this stage of the game, it wasn't the kick from Robbie Farah, the chip. They had to go long, just keep it going. It's given an opportunity to Manly when they really could have been defending a lot further downfield than this.
Monahan taking it towards the 20-metre line. Right in the centre of the park. Manly trailing by 6. And about 15 minutes of the game to go. Orford, the pass to Stewart, and he's lost the ball. And it's picked up by Robbie Farah, who heads up the other way from inside his own 20-metre line.
Well, that was a good advertisement for Benji Marshall's defence. Came in with a strong shot to force the ball loose. The side was under some pressure.
Scandalis now. Running it at Watmough and Bryant and Monahan. And Marshall finds himself at dummy half and decides to go a couple of paces before offloading to Ryan O'Hara. And Marshall stays on the job now. Looking around, looking to Scott Prince, looking for a call from him. Out he comes and just pops it up for Hyington to reach the halfway line. 65 minutes of the game gone. Fourth tackle for the West Tigers, who lead by 12 points to 6 as Prince puts a kick in. Down over the head of Stewart, the fullback, and again it stays there in the in goal. He's been absolutely superb with the weight of his kicks, Scott Prince, tonight. So Stevenson in off his right wing gets it out to the 10-metre line for Manly. Wrong end of the park for them. They really have to get this ball over the line and then convert, and then for their sakes do it again. Watmough 27 metres out from his line.
Well, a couple of Tigers out there might be starting to think Ben Hornby, even this far out. Scoring once is difficult enough. We haven't seen many points tonight. Scoring twice might just hurt Manly as Matt Orford gets a kick away under pressure.
And it's McDonald who brings it back from inside the 20-metre line. Burns and Hicks over there making the two-man tackle. With Orford standing back, issuing instructions. Chuaki, he needs them to muscle up in defence. They've got to hold them down here to have any hope.
When I say Manly scoring twice, I'm talking about in normal time. So they'd have to score twice to win this game with Robbie Farah. A rare journey to the interchange. Scandalis over the 40.
So Scandalis was over the 40, but then the Manly defence took over and pushed him back a couple of metres. Morwood is on in 16. He and Bryant making that tackle. This is Flanagan. Almost on the halfway line in the 14 jumper, Stuart Flanagan, as it goes to that boot again of Scott Prince, and this one again finds the line deep inside Manly's territory. So the big fellas have got to turn around and backpedal again.
I'll tell you something about these two teams. They're both better than they were last season. Now, that's a big statement because the Tigers won the comp, but they're developing into a better team than took the title. And the other side, this time last year they were in second position, but the fuel gauge was starting to flash empty. They limped towards the finals. They got belted in the first weekend. Let me tell you, they've got a lot more petrol in the tank this year. Very impressed with the tenacity of both these teams, and they're both better than last year.
Scrum 10 metres away from the Manly line. As Alford on the open side is met there by Galea, Scandalis, also Collis. Then from Williamson it goes over and finds Manly's number 2, Michael Robertson.
Watmo takes them on. Hines waits there with O'Hara to put him away, the Manly second rower. Monahan again. Now for Orford. Steps off his right foot but steps into trouble. Ben Galea in 17 making the tackle with Scandalis. Now for Burns, and Burns, he can't find any way through either. Flanagan in 14, the chief tackler with Marshall. Williamson goes back looking for Orford. Here's Orford, 10 out. Wide he goes to Kennedy. Kennedy looking to fend away. Still going. They're hanging on. Scott Prince, he got the ball away. Stewart picked up by Manly. Picked up by Matai. And Matai has scored. Hayne pointing to the spot. No further investigation. Some beautiful hands in this try. And again, Kennedy to the fore.
Well, how did Ben Kennedy get that football away? It was a one-on-one battle with Scott Prince. Prince looked like he'd been able to grab the back rower down to the ground. It came from the turnover from Chiwaki. The last time he handled a football, he made a bust for 60 metres. And Ben Kennedy, as we freeze it there, just watch the battle between these two players, Scott Prince and Ben Kennedy. He drags him along into that gap as play continues. Looks like he's going to ground, but somehow pops a ball at the death, flicks it out the back, and another great pass almost off the ground from his support player on the outside.
We highlighted Ben Kennedy before the game on his leadership and his tenacity, and one of the things I said was, this bloke believes he can will anything to happen on a football field.
Here's Burns to convert, but he's hooked it around, so it's 12-10. 12-10 in favour of the Tigers, Andrew.
Well, a two-point ball game. You want to highlight your Bundy big plays in the second half. It may be the goal kicking of Benji Marshall. What about the sideline conversion now? How good does that look? That really energised the Tigers. But this probably could have wrapped it up. The kick in the 54th minute that hit the post. Two-point ball game. We've got second-string kickers in action at the moment. It's Marshall just with his nose in front of Travis Burns.
12-10 the score. Manly waiting to receive. Back on the 10-metre line. Gee, that was an adventurous kick-off, I've got to say.
Yeah, if the winger had got his foot over the sideline, he'd have gone very close to touching that one, making it out on the full.
Bryant is with it, 22 metres out from his line. Monahan for Orford. Orford, really, he's the man. He's the man that can make the break.
They're good chasers, Manly. We mentioned earlier they've come from some reasonable deficits this year. 3 times 10 points or more out of 12 games. That's a good percentage. Not many other teams would boast that this season.
Orford with it now, kicking from just outside his own 40-metre line. The ball skimming over to McDonald. A little juggle back on his 10. He comes out to the 20. And the youngster has done a big job back there with a lot of work to do. That's Todd Payton with the head very heavily taped.
Just interested in the Tigers' mentality here. Do they try and protect the 2-point lead for this last 7.5 minutes? Because it's not their natural game. Their natural game is to attack, move the ball around.
They're going to be again guided by Scott Prince's kicking game, who tonight has given them every opportunity to win this game. It's gone backwards out, the referee has ruled. If Prince can continue his kicking game, they'll be in a position to go for the jugular because they'll be down at the other end of the field, as they've been through much of this second half.
Here's Scandalis now on the last tackle for the Tigers. It's down to Prince, and he puts a right foot kick in that bounces up high a couple of times for Stevenson to bring it back, but Stevenson's met back on his own 20-metre line. Orford back there for dummy half work on this occasion, and his fullback Brett Stewart hesitated before he started to do anything really.
used up a tackle, was tackled in the identical position. And now it's with Bryant. 25 away from the Manly line. 2 points the margin. Manly trailing. Kennedy tries to thunder his way through, using whatever leg drive he's got left, and he could be excused for having none at all left because he's been so good tonight. Just hasn't refused to do anything at all tonight. He's been fantastic as Alford puts a kick in, but West Tigers clean it up.
Stand up. Hold.
Played there by Ben Galea. Prince offload for Marshall. Marshall back into the middle for McDonald, who beats one, beats another, including Kennedy. And he'll play the ball now just on his own side of halfway.
Sorry, Ray, put that down as another Bundy big play. That cover up there from Ben Galea. As soon as he saw Matt Orford looking to kick the football, he thought short and got across there and got the football. Great desperation.
Now LaFranchi. 30 away from the Manly line. Watching the clock. They've got 5.5 minutes to get out of this jam that they're in, Manly. As Prince puts a little kick over. Elford's after it. Elford's come up with the football. Elford, it's gone to ground. It's with Manly. Manly 3 metres out from there. That Bryant finished up on his back. And now Monahan fires a pass out, looping its way over towards Hicks, and Hicks's tackle on his own 40-metre line. 34 metres gained on 5 tackles. And Orford puts the kick in the air again. Down it comes towards fullback McDonald. Round one through another, continuing to do a fine job. Goes through Orford, takes it back to halfway.
Good boy. Oh, geez, had a good game tonight.
Wait. Go.
So Hyington with the ball.
Well, he was the young man that was going to come into the grand final side last year if Pat Richards was unavailable through that ankle injury. And you can see why they had confidence in him. He's had a lot to do tonight, the fullback. And apart from a mistake very early in the game, he has been faultless.
Now Flanagan, 30 metres away from the Manly line. Will they take a shot here?
No,
As it goes to Scott Prince and then back to LaFranchi.
1 point doesn't help them now, Ray. 2 point margin. They've got to try and get 6. Either go to the air or get it into the in goal.
So to the blind side they knock on. It went off one onto the other. Off Payton. Will take a break. Be back with 3 minutes to go in just a moment. So back at Brookvale Oval with Manly down by 2 points and almost dropped that ball with him, but he got it back in. Lulawai 20 metres out from their own line. Last throw of the dice for Manly. That is Morwood. Second tackle on the 77th minute and just beyond the 30-metre line, almost to 40 now through Kennedy. So Monahan to Orford, and Orford is held right on the halfway line. Tackled by Lolisi originally and cleaned up by Hyington. Here's Lulawai trying to bust them, but LaFranchi is strong. Payton, the other tackler, as I said, with his head bandaged. As now Orford puts a kick in. It skews. It goes high. Oh, what a take! What a take! He scored again, Brett Stewart. The fullback has scored. That is absolutely fantastic. 25 games at Brookvale, 25 tries for the number 1. But how did he juggle that? How did he take it in?
Well, it hasn't been awarded yet, Ray. We are going upstairs. But the crowd here, they've awarded it. And Benji Marshall, he read that kick as well. He knew that Matt Orford was a chance of putting the banana-type kick across, but he couldn't get there on the full. Now, Brett Stewart, he's at the top of frame, the only one moving. He is well behind Matt Orford. That is not a problem. If they're looking at offside, that's fine. It bounces. Benji Marshall goes up. It's tapped on by Brett Stewart. That looks fine.
Oh, that is just amazing stuff. I do not believe it.
There it is. There's your winning play.
What a fantastic ending to another grinding Friday night football match with this try-scoring freak, Brett Stewart, clutching the victory points away from the Tigers right on full time.
Well, is it finished? The referee might have to blow time off there shortly because they're playing plenty of time with the conversion as we see another angle of Brett Stewart flying through. Benji Marshall, he thought that he had it covered. He put himself in the right position. He read it beautifully, but Brett Stewart.
So the conversion from Travis Burns, it is successful. So Manly have grabbed the lead. Let me check the timepiece. A minute to go.
We've got a short restart coming up as we see the banana kick from Matt Orford. Doesn't matter what angle you look at it from. Looks sensational. The Tigers, no, they won't get the football. It's bounced off one of the Manly players back into the arms of Brett Stewart. He's in the right place at the right time all of a sudden. And Williamson, he won't be relinquishing possession.
The kickoff bouncing off the back of Chris Hicks into Brett Stewart. And as you can see, Manly are not about to give up possession. George Rose plays it. Luluwai struggles his way down to halfway. 25 seconds of the game remaining. We have seen two astonishing finishes to our last two Friday nights played in wet weather conditions. But what young Stewart has just done is, to me, just totally unbelievable. Manly rolling the ball over the sideline. The Tigers won't give up. They pack the scrum.
No, we've got 2 seconds on the clock. It's deja vu again. When's he going to call time on here? Keep an eye on it, Rabs.
I think the man in the video referee box will be telling him, now, Shane, blow time on or just wave your arm to signify time on. Don't do what Sean did last week. 2 seconds to go.
He's having a chat with Scott Prince. There we go.
He got it right. Now, can the Tigers... Oh, no! Benji Marshall! Benji knocks on, proving once and for all that he is human. The ball was snatched from his grasp by Stewart. Now he's knocked on in the final play offered to the Tigers. Manly, they've got out of jail. I think even their most ardent supporter would agree. 16-12, they've won the ball game.